Hello and welcome to the Yarnings podcast. I'm Christine and I'll be your host. This is episode 48. It is Tuesday, February 24th, 2015, and it is a beautiful 45-degree day today. Looks like it could get a little warmer than that even. I am calling this episode alone time, I think, because my husband has been out of town for most of the time since I talked to you last, and I have gotten all sorts of exciting things done. He is on his way home. In fact, I'm kind of watching my phone as he's telling me the status of the airplane. So if I have to do some starts and stops today, I might just do that. This was the right time for me to be able to podcast, and so I wanted to get this going before I needed to finish up the rest of my day. So we're going to go over all the fun things, and I am excited to be here visiting with you. I am podcasting from Vancouver, Washington. I love living here, and I want to welcome new viewers. Thank you so much for putting a little bit of your podcast watching time into my show. And for my returning friends, I am glad you came back to see me. Always. And I also really love seeing the discussion on the discussion boards. We're getting more and more people commenting and introducing themselves, and probably next week I will go through and do an introduction welcome thing for everybody who's introduced themselves lately. All right, so life stories. I have been a bit askew with Eric being gone. He was planning to get back yesterday, but he got food poisoning or something and couldn't fly. So he is coming home. He's coming home right now, and he will be home in time for this evening, and I'm glad he's coming back, and I'm glad he's feeling better. That was sad. But he's feeling better now, so I'm grateful for that. I did take myself to dinner on the night that I usually have a date night with him. That was nice. I went to the Hawaiian restaurant in downtown Vancouver, and it's called Tommy O's, and they always have some really fun stuff. I got a teriyaki chicken burger, or a teriyaki burger, not chicken, and it came with really yummy French fries, and then they have amazing banana bread pudding, and so I treated myself. It was very nice. The trees are blooming behind me, behind you, right on the other side of this window are pink trees. There's some kind of Japanese maple something cherry blossomy thing. I've looked it up before and figured it out, but I never can remember. They are my very favorite trees in the area, but it's about a month early for them. The extra sun has definitely changed the way the weather pattern is, and that's impacting my allergies. These trees are the most allergy-producing thing in our area for me, even though I love them so much, and so I'm trying to get my body used to having that in the air again. I had the windows open for a few days because it was so nice in the middle of the day, and I know that brought in some of the pollen or whatever, and I'm a little bit less, my breathing is a little less than normal, but all is well. So I will share with you all the other fun stuff that I worked on as we go throughout the segments, because most of the things I did fit into one of our segments. Funny how that works, right? Because I made these segments up. They kind of match what my life looks like. So let's move into the yarnings and adventures in knitting. I do not have a finished object to show you guys this week. I worked on a lot of stuff, but nothing was even close to being finished throughout the week. So I will show you the works in progress that I did work on. I will put this down for a moment and do the things in the correct order according to my list. All right, so my cardigan that I'm working on, my lace weight cardigan, is getting some good progress on it. This is the Spirited pattern by Elena Nodal. It is a nice open front cardigan, and it's a beautiful blue. It needs 14 inches under the armpits before I start the bottom shaping. So I still have a bit to go. Let's see if I can make that color a little more accurate for you. It's not quite that desaturated. It's a little more bright. Wow, my light just went all funky. There we go. That's better. So this is Bumble Birch. She's a Portland dyer. This is Cocoon, her lace weight, in the colorway Atlantic. And I am loving how it is doing color transitions. I'm alternating skeins because they were slightly different, and I'm really glad I am. And I've been working on this a lot while watching TV, but it just is slow progress because there's over 400 stitches on the needle. So I'll be working on it for a while. It is in my Girl Cave Cat bags, and it is happy in there. The two skeins are really easy to alternate when they are inside of a bag. So that's the first. The second is my new growth socks. There was a little bit of negative knitting going on here as I actually ripped. I pulled the needles out, stuck them back in, and ripped. So I had been doing a little biasing pattern where I increased on the sides and decreased in the middle. And that was just making too funky of a shape. It was not fitting well. So I had probably 2 inches that I ripped out. But I'm glad I figured it out now, you know. I was just continuing on knitting, and I hadn't had a chance to try them on since they were bitty bitty toes, like this size, maybe a little bit bigger. And so when I finally did try them on, it really wasn't a big loss. They had been bust knitting most of the time. So I'm back to just slightly above the, it looks like I did 5 or 6 rows after the toes. So I just ripped down to where the toe increases stopped. So I didn't have to recast on or anything. I just stuck my needles back in and got going back around. And I tried something new this time where I wound, so I work from the inside and the outside of the ball. So the outside of the ball is easy to rewind if you rip something. You just wrap it around, but the inside of the ball makes quite a harder time of knitting with what's left. So I have 2 sections here. I have, this is the inside and this is the outside. And that seems to be working well because this skein is very firm and it was long enough to support that. So trying that out. It is in my normal sock bag, my Jess Lou cupcake bag, and it will continue to be bust knitting. Let's see, so then I've got my Nuvum. My Nuvum got a lot of love this week. I finished the purple and have moved on to the gray. So there is about 3 rows of gray on there. So what I'm doing, let's see if I can stretch it out a little bit for you. Because it's so big, it gets scrunched up quite a bit. But you can see on this end where the three increased sections are. There's lines. I am doing the gray center, a whole skein of the stroll or the shadow tonal. This is the blue violet colorway, I believe. And now I'm doing maybe an inch of the gray. And then I will move into the full skein of pink. And then I'll do an inch of the gray and then a full skein of the red, which is wine, kettle dyed, and something flowery. Begonia kettle dyed. And then I'll use the gray for the ruffle on the edge. So this is excellent knitting for while I'm talking. This is my conversation knits. We'll talk about that cowl in a few minutes. It is excellent for that. And so since I had some chats this week and a book group, I was able to put some time in on it while I did that. Since I didn't really play, well, yeah, that is going along nicely. So I'm excited to have finished the purple. All right, so then I put on just a little bit of work on my harmonized cowl in my hand spun. You'll see there's a couple extra ends here because I wanted to use as much of my yarn as possible, so I cast on with the inside and the outside of the skein, so then that means you have to cut the outside so it doesn't make a mess. And this end was just the fuzzy end that I'd used to tie, so it was a little longer than it needed to be. But that way I could use even more of the skein. I was on a chat and I made a little mistake and went back and fixed that. So I am a couple rows into the chevron there, and got that much left. So it's going to be a shorter version. It'll be more like a little neck band than a full cowl, but I am loving knitting on it, and it is so soft. That's the harmonize. And then the thing that I spent a lot of my time on this weekend is actually a, what am I calling it? It's a design sample. It's a pattern that I have done, but I don't have published yet. And so I'm making another sample to test it out. So I'll show you the yarn that I'm using. This is Knit Picks Hawthorne in the Vancouver colorway, and then one of their new tonals. I did not bring the labels over here. And it's a 2-color shawl, and it's beautiful, and I really like it. And I did a lot of work on it this weekend, and so that was a great thing for me to concentrate on while Eric was gone, so that I could really spend that time if I wanted to pause whatever I was watching and keep working on that. These are both in my Java Jenny bags. In fact, I have Kitchen Counter Crafter. Hi, Java Jenny. So that is the design sample. I have another design sample that will be on the needle soon. Needle adjacent. And my other needle adjacent thing. Pull this whole thing over here. I guess I don't really need these needle tips on here. There's the other set of needle tips. They need to go back in my Chowgoo thing. So I want to make Flair by Vera Valimaki. It's got a really nice shape and it really comes out nicely on the sides. And so I have 2 skeins of Dancing Dog Dye Works, her Tango Sock, and their giant skeins. This is the Chili Verde colorway. I wound one of them up and swatched with just slightly bigger needles than what she'd called for. And I didn't get anywhere near what she has for gauge in the pattern. I got 30 stitches per 4/4, and the pattern is 24. So I went up 3 whole needle sizes. I went from 3mm to 4mm, and I'm getting a fabric that I like a little more. It's still not quite the gauge she's calling for, but I do not want it to be any more airy than that, so you can already see through it. So I think I've done the math a little bit. I've done the bust math, that's the major one, and determined that if I make one size up for the 40, I think it's the 44 bust, then I will come out with a 42 bust, with my gauge being different. Math, I think, is going to work for me. I feel like this is going to be a pretty good gauge. It does make me a touch nervous because there are not a lot of measurements on the sweater. it has a great deal of increasing, so it should be fine even though my hips are wider than my bust line. So I think I'm going to go ahead and cast on the slightly bigger size. I will probably have to do shorter sleeves. I think she has 3/4 sleeves, and I'll probably have to do slightly shorter because I won't have the same amount of yardage as I thought I did. The yarn is probably closer to a lighter fingering weight instead of just a true fingering, so that's probably contributing too, but I was just really surprised to have to go up that many needle sizes. And I've washed and blocked, so it's not, the washing and blocking really didn't change my gauge much on this one. It is 100% superwash. So even if it comes out a little big, superwash should go into the dryer and tighten up a little bit. Not that I want to count on that, but I think that should do it. And this is just on one of my blocking boards because I was keeping track of it all, and I've got the Post-it notes where I wrote all my information stuck on the board itself. So that's why it's all balanced precariously there. So that's the next needle adjacent thing. I want to get another top going because the Spirited Cardi is taking a while, and I'm ready to have another thing going. Because it'll be short sleeves, it'll probably work for the Wishing for Warmer Weather Cal that the Stockinette Zombies are doing. So yeah, that's that. I did spin just a wee little bit this week. I don't remember how much I'd gotten on my spindle last time. That much. I do have a little issue where the very bottommost section of the yarn likes to come undone. It's not really undone, it's just, it slides down and then it's harder to grasp onto there. So I'm trying to wind the yarn when it's done up a little higher so that doesn't happen. I'm not sure how to counter that. The bit that I had pulled out and pre-drafted is wee. That would be easy to finish up today. I've just been trying to work on it every day or so, and that's the one I showed you last week. So that's my little bit of spinning fun. I really enjoy it. It's just been such a fun, relaxing thing. So I'll keep showing you my little bitty spinning. For knitting community, we do have 2 knit-alongs going on. One is the Conversation Knits. That one has quite a few people that are participating with whatever they're working on while they are talking or doing or watching or whatever they're doing. And so that's been really fun to see the progress that people are making and the new projects that they're adding. We have a couple people that have done multiple things. We have a couple people that are doing multiple things. There's a couple people doing new ones. We have a set of prizes for that. I should probably put that up on the prize thread of what we have, but I kind of keep adding to that pile, so it's in transition. One of the prizes is a pattern. One of them is stitch markers. I have stitch markers from Creations by Uli on mine, and you guys will get a set. So that is the Conversation Cal. Please continue to post your things. That one will be over the end of March, so you have plenty of time to participate. Doesn't have to be something that you finish. You just have to mention why it works as conversation knitting for you and post in the thread and join that conversation, and you'll be eligible for a prize if you're a member of the group. The other knit along we have going on is the Harmonize Cowl, and that's my pattern. And I don't have it right. I don't have the actual finish. Oh, here we go. I have the short one. I wore the long one on Sunday over top of my Hito Fude to church. That was kind of a nice pairing. Here's the short one that works kind of like a little collar. So the Harmonized Cowl knit along is going on, and if you are knitting a Harmonized, please come and post it in the thread. That will also have a prize, and we are going with that one until the end of March as well. That's exciting. It's really fun to watch. Also in knitting community, I have been catching up on podcasts. We have a couple podcasts that have joined in on the Harmonize fun, or my pattern fun, Dark Matter Knits, she posted an episode this weekend that was about the design process, and it was a super interesting topic. And she said really kind things about Harmonize. She has a contest going on. And so I would encourage you to go over and watch. I'll put a link directly to that episode in the thread, and you can join. You can go and watch her episode and perhaps join in on the contest. In a Snit also has a contest going on has a knit along going on right now for Treat Yourself, and I added one of my patterns as part of that. So if you go and check out their newest episode, you might see a coupon code. Just saying. So yeah, I've just been catching up on a lot of podcasts with Eric gone. I've just been turning them on and doing all the fun things that I'm working on, and that has been really great because I was kind of behind on a bunch of them. So it's been really, really fun to catch back up. And I have also added a few to my list of ones that people have talked about that I haven't watched. And that's also been fun. I know that I shouldn't watch any new ones until I catch up with the old ones, but sometimes I hear a name and have to go at it. So there's that. So how are you participating in the knitting community this week? Are you commenting on stuff on Instagram? What does your knitting community look like? Do you have most of your knitting community online, or is it in person? Most of mine is online. I am so lucky to have friends through knitting that I can talk with often. Okay, let's move into Sagas of Geekery. The only thing I've played in the last week, because Eric has been gone, is Legendary. I learned how to play that as a solo, one-person game. And I had that all out here in my craft room. I actually played it here on the table behind us because I had it all out making custom dividers for it. So, Legendary is a deck building game. I've showed you some of it before. But each hero and each villain has their own small little deck with a lot of different variations. So it came with basic dividers, but it wasn't enough dividers. So I designed my own. I'll show you one of the heroes. I designed my own that had stats of what kind of team it is and what kind of cards they have. And so each one of the heroes has their own custom thing, and then each of the villains they're a little more similar. They don't have as much stats, but I have it all nicely done. I colored them in because I don't have a color printer. And so trying to print ones that people had pre-made wasn't going to work very well in grayscale. But I have it all nicely organized until I get the next set, and then I will print some more. That'll be the Guardians of the Galaxy one. They didn't have that one in stock when we tried to get it at our local game store last weekend. So while I had this all out, I played it twice solo to see how that worked, and that worked really well. I really had a fun time. I tend to, let me set this back down before I drop it. I tend to say what I'm doing out loud so that I get in the right flow. Like, okay, replenish the heroes. Okay, my villain for this turn is, so it's kind of like what I do when I'm playing with someone else, but I'm just sitting there talking it all out to myself. So it probably would have sounded really funny if somebody had happened upon me playing by myself. Oh well. I had a lot of fun. And then for now watching, I've just watched a lot of Lost. And because I've been watching podcasts instead, Lost has been what I've watched at the end of the evening on my own, and that's been fun. Yeah, I don't think we caught up on anything else before Eric left. So we've got a couple castles and an Agent Carter waiting on the TiVo. I tried to watch a Scandal, but I just wasn't feeling it last night. So I haven't watched any of them since it came back. February, I think that's when it came back. So I have 4 episodes on my TiVo waiting for me. I might get back to that. If not, they will put it on Netflix this summer. I'm not too worried about it. But then again, my TiVo's taping almost nothing, so I think I could just go and tell it to keep them all, and then I'll catch up when I have a chance. Okay, so fanciful chatter. Now wearing. So this is one of my Ren shawls, and I decided I'd wear it today because Damaris on the Geeky Girls Knit podcast, she's the daughter of the mother-daughter team, she was knitting socks out of this colorway. This is Knit Pick Stroll hand paint in the Make Believe colorway. And this was, I made a prototype of this shawl out of Black Trillium, and then this was the actual first full-sized one. I don't think that the Black Trillium version was quite as large. So this was basically my first Ren shawl. This was the first pattern that I put out. You guys have seen the smaller one that I knit out of Sun Valley. It's a kind of a burgundy color, burgundy purpley color. It's the smaller lace weight version, but this is the full fingering weight size. And I love it. You can see the lace patterns in it. And so I was happy to see Damaris working in this colorway because it definitely inspired me to wear it today. And I love how it looks with this shirt too. The flowers and the purple is a really nice combo. And it also coordinates well. Let's put that back on straight. It also coordinates well with my new earrings. These are some that my friend Angel and her mom sent me. Her mom makes earrings. Aren't those cool? I have a second pair that are pinks that I'll wear another day, but I thought that worked really well with my Ren shawl today. So, new earrings. Yay! Thank you, Angel. Thank you to her mama. All right. Craftiness. I just kind of stuck this in here because it seemed kind of giggly. You can see back on my door, I moved some of the purses so I could hang my wreath. So on the shelves up behind you, I used to have some flower arrangements. Sorry, I didn't mean to shake you guys. That was not very kind. I just noticed it really shook. Up on top of these bookshelves, I used to have some pretty flower arrangements. And I had spent quite a bit of time picking out pinks and greens, because you can see my IKEA bins are green, and I've got a lot of pink accents. And we needed the space for storage up there. And I'm not sure I want to move these big flower arrangements to another house. And so I thought, I'm going to take some of the flowers out of them and make them a wreath for my door. So this wreath that I made, there we go. This wreath that I made is with some of the flowers from the big flower arrangement. And I had it hanging on the inside of the door, of our front door, because it's still been a little windy outside. I didn't want to put it outside yet. But it's got pretty greenery and white roses and lilies, and there's all sorts of fun stuff in there. And I just kind of twisted it all together on a heart framework. It's metal, and then I've hung it on one side because it kind of looked neat that way. And my holder downstairs was really short, kind of like this, so it made it move down just a little bit more than it would have hanging on the center point of the heart. So if it's down a little more. So that was really fun. I had a really nice time. I'll try and put some before and after pictures for you in the show notes or maybe somewhere on the screen. Book of cooking. I have been cooking things that I wanted to eat this week. I got a rotisserie chicken from Costco, which is always a good deal, and made salad with chicken and quesadillas with chicken and then a bunch of sandwiches. I also did some epic, awesome Mexican nachos with ground turkey and veggies, and then my wonderful mango salsa, which I need to type up for the Red Kitchen, my cooking site, so that I have it there and I can point it out. It's really easy, but I should type it up. And let's see, last night I had some fancy raviolis with a bunch of peppers in them, and I made oatmeal with a ton of dried fruit in it. So I've had some really fun things, and it's been interesting to cook for myself, just for one, for all of these days. So that was exciting. In the happiness continues. I have 3 things again. I am very thankful for chats with friends, both video and text-based. I have had some really great chats, and it kept me from feeling too lonely here by myself for 5 or 6 days. So I'm really grateful for friends. I started a new reading plan through the website She Reads Truth. There's also an app for that, and it is a Bible reading plan for the Lent season. And thirdly, when I wrote my show notes today, I pulled out a pink pen, and that made me happy. It's a silly little thing, but you have to capture those happy moments and those things you're grateful for, right? All right, I think I got everything. I think that's all the fun things that I want to tell you guys about for today. And I will get this edited and posted for you so that you can enjoy with me and giggle along. Okay, so would you like to know how you can find me? I'm sure you want to follow me around on the internet, right? I am Christine with a K on Ravelry. I am KDLV on Instagram. That's my favorite social media of choice. You can find the Ravelry group as Yarnings Podcast. There's also a Facebook status page. And you can view the show notes, which has links and sometimes pictures and all sorts of fun stuff to all the things that I talked about on today's show at yarningspodcast.com, all squished together. Okay, guys, so thanks for visiting with me, and until next time, that's the story. Bye.